Aha! Finally! I was extremely anticipating this movie ever since its release in December 2024. Usually these types of movies are very enjoyable to watch. While video game adapted movies are just okay, this one is on a whole new level in terms of that entertainment. I was massively grinning throughout this entire movie. Unfortunately, I accidentally saw a few spoilers of this movie, some of which were clips filmed with a 180p quality camera that kills box office numbers these days, all of which almost killed some of my interest into watching this. Despite this is definitely a cinematic video game adapted movie. Though I've still seen way better family entertainment in the past, the sheer amount of source material this offered was still more than enough to help me keep on pace with the storyline it offered from start to finish. So what truly helps this movie move around at the speed of sound? How does it effortlessly make itself at home with its source material? And why was it a genre high for the video game adapted films? In today's movie review, I'll be talking about the prequel to this admirable series, Sonic the Hedgehog 3. I will recap everything that made this movie amazing to watch and how I hope to see these recurring qualities in the next installment. First of all, this movie, like its predecessors, stays extremely faithful to its source material and is arguably done so much better here with a little bit of fan service here and there. This film stays extremely faithful to the backstory lore with Shadow and Maria during the Ark incident, adding some very emotional weight and dark thematic depth that is rarely seen in live action family entertainment. The film also introduces Ivor Robotnik, who wears his iconic white suit from the games, and somehow manages to be adapted even more so than Dr. Robotnik was, both of which are flawlessly played by Jim Carrey. But that's not all. Super Sonic and Super Shadow fully appear here during the final climax. All of those choreographed action spectacle is literally ripped right out of big franchises such as John Wick. And then they kick in Live and Learn from Sonic Venture 2 when Sonic and Shadow begin to work together against the Eclipse Cannon, which is also a true sign of Shadow following the words reminded by Maria. And Shadow riding a motorcycle in addition to wielding a gun is very edgy, but badass all the same. Sonic fanboys will be in awe here. The visual effects are phenomenal, and also impressive for a film that has a small budget, just barely exceeding the $100 million budget mark. How this manages to look even better than big budgeted superhero movies these days is just unreal. They also managed very well with how they adapted Shadow's movements and powers from the games to this film, perfectly giving off his chaos control animation, and also like a teleportation based fighting style that has him warping against his foes. The CGI for its characters is also great, even coming off so as an even bigger jump than its predecessors, even if it's not really so much of a big jump. Still, Shadow's design is awesome, and the other ones look just as great as ever. The set pieces also give the action so much spectacle, and it really gives off the vibe of watching a proper superhero movie for kids. You could add this movie's action into a superhero film and it would fit straight in. The epic grand scaling works beautifully for such a simplistic series. Also, this movie's acting is one of the main highlights, even being better than the characters themselves. I genuinely don't even know where to begin. They are all just phenomenal. First off, you got the recurring roles that are still great as ever, and then there's Jim Carrey. As if his acting wasn't already great enough, this film now has not just one, but two Jim Carreys, one of which playing Dr. Robotnik, and the other playing his grandfather, Ivor Robotnik. The former keeps his high energy slapstick and wit, and the latter is portrayed as a sinister and tragic figure who's easy to relate to. Double the carries equals double the fun. I can just simply tell how much fun he had, despite planning to retire a few years ago. But who plays Shadow the Hedgehog, you may be wondering? Keanu Reeves. Keanu fucking Reeves, one of the greatest actors of all time, playing one of the most beloved Sonic characters of all time? Yes, please. Reeves was fan casted as Shadow years ago, and now that dream has finally come into fruition. He went all this way to create a fan-faithful rendition of the character, studying the source material to adapt a grounded, brooding intensity to his character, successfully capturing his anti-hero persona to make him ripped right out of the games. This makes Shadow, an already beloved character, into an absolute unit of a character, whilst also delivering the laughs and also the amount of emotional depth from none other than the legendary actor Jim Carrey. Like its predecessors, the film's humour once again is Jim carried hard, thanks to the double of an icon that birthed the comedic timings in the 90s, and an iconic action hero that birthed all that is action in the similar time frame. Something else this movie manages to get right is its action sequences, still being very spectacular. They do get a bit crazy at times, yet also very fun as well. Whenever one does happen, it's extremely fast paced and it's basically a scene stealer. Like all of the action involving Sonic and Shadow were all fantastic, being intense, grounded, and just a spectacular amount of fun. The final sequence where Sonic and Shadow in their super forms was absolutely epic, and it also had the best looking visual style in the entire movie, not just because they're spectacularly set in outer space, but because of how the darker tone in general fits the overall feeling, and also how the friendship change comes together when they collapse onto the moon, and the memories that Shadow obtains due to Maria, helping him to eventually come to good terms and works together with Sonic to stop the Eclipse Cannon from destroying the Earth, successfully fulfilling Shadow's promise to Maria. There are some other great moments of action involving those scenes in London, which were also really great to watch. But for me, it was mostly Sonic and Shadow that was the highlight of it all. Off topic, but also the entire sequence with Dr. Robotnik and Ivor Robotnik dancing with all the lasers. Enough said. Lastly, the endless amount of thematic layers of depth that this movie offered is something else. It manages to be the same entertainment for all viewers, while switching the tone up for its darker approach to Shadow, which makes sense for his character. The tone is much darker than before, since it focuses on topics such as loss, pain, vengeance, and suffering, all being a perfect fit for Shadow. The settings are also much darker, giving off that intense vibe of Sonic and his friends fighting off against something they had never fought before. The way Shadow's character changes from exacting revenge on the world to eventually coming to good terms to following Maria's wish to help people helps give off some great character development so that it makes the viewers more engaged in the story. Sacrifices are also made, especially when Dr. Robotnik sacrifices himself to save the world from being destroyed by the Eclipse Cannon, instead slicing the moon in half. It also tries to up its scope a lot more so that all viewers can get a kick out of this, while still being the same old family-friendly entertainment for all viewers. Sonic the Hedgehog 3 is quite possibly everything you could ever ask for in a video game adapted movie. If you're not quite into this series in general, this will surely help you get into its fast-paced storytelling. I'm already a massive fan of this series, but this one takes it to the next whole new level. I loved everything in this movie. The amount of source material, the outstanding visual style and scope, the voice talents, all of which are flawless, the hefty amount of action spectacle, the thematic layers of depth, the genres, the elements, everything. This was one of my most anticipated movies of 2024, and it perfectly lives up to its hype. I've seen some say that it's overrated and it's a big cash grab, but those are just some nasty nerds who have no heart or soul for a Sonic the Hedgehog game. They are also probably the type of nerds who saw and preferred Disney's soulless live-action Lion King prequel, which also released during the same date as Sonic 3 for literally no reason. If you wanted to entertain your friends or children, give them hell with this instead of that awful live-action remake. I also love how the film foreshadows the next installment in the series, with the mid-credit scene hinting at Metal Sonic and Amy Rose, so maybe Sonic 4 will adapt elements from Sonic CD, something that I can definitely look forward to. Sonic the Hedgehog 3 is a must-watch for any viewer, and if you're already a big fan of this series, get ready to get a load of interest from this massive installment from start to finish. Sonic the Hedgehog 3 runs even brisker and faster than its predecessors, with double the trouble from Jim Carrey, extraordinary layers of cinematic depth, and an endless amount of thrilling experiences. My final score for this prequel is a 10 out of 10 and a grade S. Quite arguably one of the best video game adapted movies I've ever seen. This sets a bar high for these action-packed movies and teaches plenty of lessons or two. I've seen plenty of video game adapted movies in the past, and while I do think enough is enough, this third installment definitely breaks that curse. Usually I get some mild entertainment out of them, but the sheer amount of spectacle this offered can definitely fit right into a superhero movie, especially with how hard Paramount cooked here. I can't wait to see what they do with a fourth movie, and take everything great about this movie and hopefully make it even better than it already had. But with that being said, leave a like on this video if you guys did enjoy my review on Sonic the Hedgehog 3. And also remember to subscribe if you're new, and hit that bell icon to see more content on my channel. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll catch you all later. Take care of yourselves.